on with YouTube here, but for now, okay, we got audio there. That's good, so that's a good sign. Let me just make certain that we're getting where we need to be on YouTube, because if you didn't tune in last week, you missed all the fun, because we had one heck of a big problem in that I was recording, and everything on OBS on the levels was showing everything working properly with no problem whatsoever, until I tuned in and I found out that we had no audio whatsoever. So just double checking again here for tonight to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Okay, I can be heard on here. That is excellent. Just wanted to double check. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and get going live and direct tonight from downtown Chattanooga on the 19th of August, rapidly running out of month. And as of right now, we should begin to see some nicer conditions for the next couple of days, but then the farther we go into next week, that is where we see the potential of temperatures heading back upwards again. If you've never been here before, again, this is our live online video weather blog to where you can ask questions if you have any ideas about something going on with the weather here in this area: southeast Tennessee, north Georgia, northeast Alabama, and extreme western North Carolina. That's the News 12 viewing area. But if you have a question about anything else out there, go ahead and drop it into the comments section. Chat function available on YouTube. We're watching that to see what's going on. And of course, if you have any more questions about anything on Twitch, go ahead and send it in, and we'll see what we can do to answer your question. Let's go ahead and get going and see if we had any improvement in the situation over the weekend. Well, we did manage to pick up a little bit of rainfall. Not by much. We managed to pick up somewhere around 0.05 of an inch, which brings us over to just over 1/10 of an inch for the month, which means we need 2.19 just to catch up to where we should be. That improved a bit of our precipitation deficit into and around the year for Chattanooga, but we are now pushing 7 inches behind normal, and a good possibility by Wednesday, if we don't get anything else, and it doesn't look like we're going to, we could see about 7 inches worth of deficit here. 89 the high temperature, just below our normal of 90. 70 the low temperature, just spot on there. Should be a little cooler into tomorrow. Definitely beats the record high of 103 set back in 1936, and you know you're in the thick of summertime when the coolest of the cool temperatures you can get is only in the low 60s. That's as cold as it has ever gotten in normal time frame in the history of this area. 61 is as close as you can possibly get. So if we manage to make our way into the 60s tomorrow, that will be about as close as we have really ever gotten in the semi-near future out there. So that would be nice to be able to see. Okay, ignore the rain and thunder. That's not supposed to be here. It looks like the automatic forecast update did not kick in, but temperatures will be on the mild side tomorrow, very much looking nicer than what we could have at this time of the year. Not seeing a lot of problems right now. Again, decently quiet on the Island Cove Marina and Resort camera from the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Again, downtown, Sylvester the Spider smack in the middle of the screen on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera, but pretty dry off to the south and west. Looking west, a little hazy, but not bad. Plainview Outdoor Advertising camera from the area at 153 and 64 overlooking the airport. News 12 Studios overlooking Broad Street and the north flank of Lookout Mountain on the Patriot Concrete camera. We were seeing the potential for a decent amount of backups earlier, and as of right now, very quiet traffic at 2475 around the junction there in south central Chattanooga on the Tomahawk Crane and Rigging camera. Chattanooga Theater Center, again, a few folks, a lot of folks, in fact, out and about on the footbridge. A few folks out and about at Coolidge Park for tonight. Beautiful night to get out. It's warm and it is dry, so that's kind of nice. Should have been a good sunset on the Chattanooga Zoo webcam, Erlanger Hospital, right along 4th Street, and looking back to where there was a sunset not too long ago. Temperatures at this time, again, back in the mid-70s, much nicer than what it was just about a week or so ago, so not doing too bad there. Let's take a look and see what's going on with the big picture. which again, little, if anything, really showing up. We do have a cold front down to our south, and that has again dropped a lot of cool, dry air down that direction. We continue again to see the potential for more of this dry air sitting in, and as we do, if I can get this to behave properly, there's our front area of low pressure rotating counterclockwise, high pressure just a little farther up toward Hudson Bay. These two systems working together to escort in that drier air off the Great Lakes and down our direction, which is helping our conditions here immeasurably. So looking very nice. Next couple of days, again, kind of cool temperatures in some areas could make the mid to upper 50s for low temperatures into overnight. And then as we go toward Tuesday, temperatures again upper 80s, lower to mid 80s, even a few of those showing up. Wednesday morning, 50s and 60s, 70s down toward Atlanta. Lower to mid 80s for Wednesday. That's about as good as it gets for us. And then after the 50s and 60s on Thursday morning, we're going to head back upwards into the high 80s. And then we get into Friday morning. Not quite as cool, still very comfortable, and that is where we see the hotter temperatures start to make their way back up again, mid to high 80s, and then after that we start to get some rather toasty conditions coming on through as we go into the next several days. So for tonight and into tomorrow should be mainly clear skies out there, and as of right now, not seeing that much in the way of any changes. We should be rising back to near normal on Friday, and then we go through the lower to mid 90s. Not seeing, again, any record high temperatures, so that's some good news. But again, for right now, we are going to be looking at hotter conditions heading back our direction. So get prepared for that, but enjoy this while you are able to, because this at this time of the year is some of the more pleasant weather we could hope to have right smack in the middle of summertime. So it would be nice to be able to see at least a little bit of some even cooler temperatures. 70s would be nice. I got no argument with that, but it would be possible that we could be seeing less nicer conditions in the near future. Low temperatures heading back up into the mid to upper 60s, and then we get, again, the temperatures back in the lower to mid 90s. So that will continue, again, for the foreseeable future. Not getting anything else in here in the way of any chance of rainfall anytime soon. The next 10 days, even past this forecast, look to be pretty dry, and that's not good news for us at this point. We need a lot more help where that rainfall is concerned. All right, going to take a quick check into the Atlantic and see what's going on with Ernesto. It is still a hurricane, even at 10 o'clock Eastern time. It is now just passing the Canadian Maritimes, just about ready to launch itself off into the North Atlantic, going south of Greenland and eventually curving over toward the British Isles about a week or so from now. But winds inside this storm, even though it is getting a lot more disorganized, we're seeing a lot of dry air. It looks like starting to wrap around this storm. Notice that the clouds break up right here, and we see this dry intrusion starting to make its way through. So that means this storm is going to be weakening into the overnight period. It probably will be a hurricane by this time tomorrow into around early portions of, Tuesday evening. Could still be a hurricane. But after that, it's probably going to be a tropical storm, or at least a post-tropical cyclone, as they are being called now. Now, what else is going on out there? When you have the one storm that everybody's been laser focused on for a while, it's always a good idea to look out and see what else may be coming your direction. As of right now, the Atlantic will be, again, very quiet. So we have not much going on here. We'll talk about why in just a little bit. A little further back toward the west into the eastern Pacific, we have number 1, 2, and 3 areas of development that could be a possible problem. So that is where we are going to see the potential for some concern, especially as we look out toward the area around Hawaii. These storms continuing to make their way, and right there in the middle, that right there is Tropical Storm Gilma, winds of 60 miles per hour. So we have a tropical storm and we have 3 disturbances. So the Pacific, very much on the active side. Yes, these systems are making their way toward the north and east, and it looks like it's going to be meandering pretty slowly. Good chance of development. So looking all the way out toward the Hawaiian Islands, there could be some disturbances that develop into stronger storms, and that's something we'll be watching with a big deal of interest, especially if they start getting closer to around the Hawaiian Islands. We'll keep you updated on that. We still have, again, a big amount of heat, a just absolutely mind-bogglingly huge amount of heat in the waters of the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean. Any storm system that wanders over this is going to be subject to rapid intensification. Excuse me. It is possible that anything over 80 degrees, as those storms go over that particular warm water, they can absorb more water vapor and they can get stronger much quicker. Again, rapid intensification, or RI, can occur. So this is where we could see, again, the potential for more development and more problems in the next several days and weeks. Now, here's what we are also seeing at this time is there's not that much in the way of dust over portions of the Atlantic. The Gulf, the Caribbean's got a decent amount of dust at this point. But as we look back farther toward the east, we're starting to see, again, numerous pulses of dust and some what looks to be some pretty strong layers of dust by the end of the week, making its way out and over portions of the Atlantic. Now, what does this mean? This is a totally natural phenomenon. This is where we see the dust make its way over the ocean and become a fertilizer for the areas of the rainforests of South America. So this right here is exactly what usually happens. But this dust also has another benefit in that it blocks sunlight from doing anything to the oceans, as in heating them up. So that in and of itself is very good news. Remember, though, in pockets like these, right in through here, on the southern side of this dust, is where Beryl formed, just right in that very neat corner pocket area, and that is where we could see another storm develop, drift, and move along with those particular pockets of less dry air. So it is possible we could get more dust, yes. It is possible that most of the ocean will not see anything in the way of tropical storms, possibly for the next week or so, as we start to see more of these pulses of dust make their way over the ocean, and that should help to drop the amount of storms. But it may also do a very good job of collecting energy in the ocean surface, which means we may see the potential of more storms later on, because we are not seeing that many storms right now. So we're just kind of biding our time to see what goes on. Even if we were to stop with the amount of storms that we have had so far, that in and of itself would not exactly be the best current situation that we may see with this. And the idea at this point is, because of the fact that we have the opportunity to get all this energy out there, it's called accumulated cyclone energy, or ACE. We've talked about this before. This from Michael Lowry, hurricane specialist and storm surge expert, also working for several around the area of the National Hurricane Center down around Miami. Tropical activity so far in 2024 in the dark blue line is the third highest in the satellite era, that is since 1966. Even average activity from today forward would yield a hyperactive hurricane season. If we ended August without another system, we'd still be very ahead of the busy seasons like 2020 and 2010. So what this tells us is we are still on the upslope of moving into the peak of the season. And that means that, again, with the current conditions the way that they are, even with activity today, going forward, we are still expecting a very busy, or as he puts it here, hyperactive season. So that is something to really pay attention to, especially if you go anywhere near the tropics. Again, thank you very much, Michael Lowry, hurricane specialist on Twitter. at Michael R. Lowry if you'd like to check out his information regarding the tropics. A lot of other neat stuff out there from many different people. So if you'd like to find out more, great opportunity to learn a little bit more there. All right, for our friend in roofing.com weather poll of the day, Saturn has a moon, one of the biggest moons in the solar system, called Titan, and it's got a very cold surface. Matter of fact, a lot of the temperatures there are well below 200 degrees Fahrenheit, but it is covered in liquid, but it can also rain frozen what? Water, methane, nitrogen, or helium. And the bulk of the answers, correct answers, was methane, and 74% of you got that. So thank you very much for playing along with our friend in roofing.com weather poll of the day. If you'd like to see more, please head to our website, wdef.com/vote now. Coming up into tomorrow, very interesting poll about why young people are going to the polls, and it has to do that a lot of them are inspired about the idea of doing something about climate change. We'll save the rest of it. Don't want to give away too much. Got to remember spoilers. More about what's going on in the tropics and how it is affecting voting in the United States. That's coming up tomorrow on our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day. So please stop by and cast your ballot on that. Okay, if you've never been to the National Weather Service before, or a National Weather Service, it's very rare for them to hold an open house. Skywarn meetings are usually held off-site so they can get more people involved. There are times where they get law enforcement, media and press personnel like myself to come and visit to have a workshop about how we can do things better. But if you've never been to a National Weather Service open house, they're very rare, as I said, and again, this is a good opportunity to learn more about what NOAA does. If you'd like to find out more, a lot of people are saying, well, all NOAA does is talk about climate change, and they do it too much, so if we get rid of NOAA, we'll get rid of climate change talk, and therefore the problem will be solved, and no one will have to mention it again. Well, that's a very short-sighted way of doing things, and no, that is not going to solve the problem of climate change. And yes, climate change is a problem. Humans are mostly responsible for that, but again, just canceling out, according to several political personnel's master plan, getting rid of NOAA will solve all the problems about climate change, because then nobody will ever talk about it. But that's, again, one of the worst ideas I've ever heard politically or scientifically in my entire professional life. So if you'd like to know more about what NOAA does, the National Weather Service is under the umbrella of NOAA, which is under the umbrella of the United States Government Cabinet Agency level Department of Commerce. So if you'd like to know more about where they get their data from, how they run their office, ask and work with other agencies, core partners, again, law enforcement, local media, things like that. Meet the meteorologists and personnel, the hydrologists, the specialists. Learn how they issue products and warnings, the information that NOAA collects under the National Weather Service, radar data, all that type of information can go to enhance your life, my life, and keep all of us safer. And that's a good portion of what NOAA does under the National Weather Service. This is coming up September 28th. That's a Saturday. That's almost a month away, just shy of about 5 weeks, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., weather.gov/MRX. So if you'd like to know more about that, head to our website or their website, wdef.com/weather, and you can find it by scrolling right down beneath the information on what goes on. Speaking of climate change, things are not getting better and will not continue to get better until we really start working on how we can keep everybody safe. Today was a very bad day in Iraq. Started off with a record high minimum temperatures in Rafi, Iraq. Hope I'm saying that correctly, or Rafi. 99.8 degrees was the record high minimum. That is how cool it got in parts of northern Iraq today. In southern Iraq and in Kuwait, the high temperatures, all-time record high temperatures blown away in this area. 123 in Basra in Iraq, 124.5 in Jarrah in Kuwait, just next door, right down toward the area of the Persian Gulf. All this information courtesy of Extreme Temps on Twitter, where you can see a very detailed look at what climate change is doing and what kind of an effect it is having on our planet. And more hot temperatures like this are going to be coming over the next several months, years, and decades, unfortunately. So it would be nice to have some good news, but so far we haven't really had all that much. If you've taken pictures like we have shown you before on our picture of the day and think you have what it takes to be a worldwide champion of taking pictures, the World Meteorological Organization holds an annual calendar photographic competition each year, and the deadline for entry is coming up September 1st. So if you've got a picture that you think would be stellar enough for their calendar for the year upcoming, go ahead and get to wmo.int and find out the rules. It has to be a certain size. It has to be a certain format. And if you get yours in, if you win, you don't get any money, but to get your picture featured on a calendar that's distributed worldwide, that's pretty cool, you got to admit. These pictures from some of our News 12 viewers. So if you would like to know more, again, their website, wmo.int. Almost forgot and don't want to go too far on this since we have a supermoon rising out there tonight. From News 12 in the production department and the news department, she wears a lot of hats around here. Rainey Randolph, thank you very much for a picture of the moon on June the 21st. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. And if you've got pictures, we'd love to be able to see what you're looking at out there and to send them in. So please do so. Email them to us, drop them to our social media pages, or just go to wdef.com/photos to take a look and see what is out there and what other people have been dropping by for the weather picture of the day. All right, I think that should just about do it. We've been on the air for about 20 minutes. That's not bad, and my allergies are playing havoc with how I feel. So I think we're going to just go ahead and call it quits for tonight, just to make certain that we are able to get through the 11 o'clock show coming up here. And it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, and let me just double check on this because I get very worried when things have a problem with audio. Okay, there we go. So we are doing well on the audio. It's kicked in. Again, for those of you who tuned in a little late, we had a bad audio malfunction last week. Sincere apologies, but we're trying to do our best to make certain we troubleshoot before we go on the air with some of these cameras and video and audio and stuff like that. And when everything you own is brought in and recycled from McKay's and other places, we really need to be careful about what we're doing. So watching very carefully on things like that. That should do it. Chip Chapman has your forecast bright and early tomorrow morning, starting at 5 a.m., so stay tuned for more there. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. This has been Weather Overtime. Thanks for joining us for Monday evening, the 19th of August. We'll have more again tomorrow with Chip, and I'll be back in tomorrow evening with more information in regards to what's going on with the forecast through the rest of the week. Stay tuned to News 12 on air and again online at wdef.com/weather, and we'll have more details on the forecast again tonight on News 12 at 11. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again for the next Weather